Good evening, folks. Welcome to the June 21st, 2017 Board of Supervisors meeting. Would you all please rise and join me in the pledge of flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is public comment on agenda items. If there is any, would you please raise your hand and state your address and name?
Robert Linden, Reagan Drive. I'm trying to address the items that I think are missing from the agenda tonight. I would like the board to consider an item on PennDOT roads within the township. I think that's important to the citizens of the township to know what the status is, what roads are being worked on, detours and such like that.
I do have a little bit of information that I will share with you in old business.
Okay.
New business that I was made aware of, and I also had put a call in Monday, but did not get a return call from an elected official higher up than us. But I do have some information that might please you, or give you a little bit of an update, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay, announcements. I am going to announce we're going to hold an executive session after tonight's meeting to discuss some personnel matters as well as a real estate issue. Do either of you have any other issues? Okay. All right, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes for May 17th, 2017. Have either of you gentlemen had a chance to review them? Do you have any changes, additions, or corrections?
I've read them, reviewed them, and find them in order for approval. So moved.
Okay, motion's been made.
A second.
Second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Confirm?
Excuse me, does the sound, can you all hear the last row?
Yes.
Okay.
Confirmed appointments. First on the agenda is Regina Schrameyer, voting district resolution.
Yes,
Hi, Regina.
yep. As you know, last month I presented a petition to ask the board to sign the resolution to change the way we form districts from the current way, which would be an independent commission composed of 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 3 independents.
You did,
I did.
and we tabled it because we did not know enough information about this request.
And what is it that you would like to know?
Well, what I learned, some things I have learned, there was an article in the newspaper, Intelligence, I believe,
Yep.
explaining the situation and what has been taking place. Were you aware that the Democratic Party filed a lawsuit against the state of Pennsylvania?
The Democratic Party did not file a lawsuit. The League of Women Voters
The
filed
League of
it,
Women Voters did.
along with a consortium of churches and other groups.
Okay. What was the other issue? There was another issue, there was another concern that some of the people that signed the petition didn't really understand what they were signing.
And
That's- And I
no one
said,
said anything to
I
me about
have a
that.
lady's number, I did not give them your phone number,
Uh-huh.
but with your permission, I will give that to them.
Please, please,
So that they fully understand.
yes.
One of the things that I question is, this has been done like this for so long, part of our Constitution.
Mhm.
What is the reason to change it?
Because in the past, districts were formed by the majority party, but without the laser strike of the big data and the technology that they use today. They use that technology to divide a street in half. You have the city of Reading that is divided into 4 districts, and not one of the representatives from those districts lives in Berks County. That's what the technology has done with redistricting. It's not trying to form districts that have the correct number of people and that are contiguous and that don't break up communities. That's not what those computer programs are used for anymore. They're used to carve out districts that will keep politicians in office so that they are less responsive to what we the voters want to have happen in our government, and more responsive to lobbyists and party officials that decide to strong arm them.
How do they do that?
How do they do it? With computer models. And now they're finally at a point, there have been challenges in the past, and they could not find a quantitative way to agree with to rule in favor. But now there are several quantitative ways, quantitative algorithms, and many universities are involved in this. One is called the efficiency gap, and I can tell you all about the efficiency gap. The efficiency gap measures the votes that don't count because of the way a district is gerrymandered. It counts what counts and what does not count. That's one way.
What does that mean, counts and does not count?
The votes that have absolutely no influence.
Well, if they vote, they have some influence on somebody.
No, they base it, I can read it to you if you wish. Hang on. Okay. Gerrymandering is about wasting your opponent's vote by packing them where they aren't needed and spreading them where they can't win. So the efficiency gap calculates the difference between each party's wasted votes as a percentage of the total vote, where a vote is considered wasted if it is in a losing district or if it exceeds the 50% threshold needed in a winning district. I can get that information to you if you wish.
I don't think it's necessary for me. I'm reluctant to change because I believe that it's working the way it works right now, until it's proven to me that it's not.
Well,
And yes,
keep in mind, even if you passed a resolution or passed something, you can't change
I
the
didn't think we
way
could.
the districts. What Ms. Schremeyer is asking for is some kind of resolution that you support change. And
I
so
realize that.
nothing, okay, I just wanted to make clear, there's nothing that you could do
No, she's looking.
would actually change the way districts are.
She's looking for the board's support. That's what she's looking.
I am looking for the board to endorse the idea of finding a fairer way to have voters vote so that our votes count. Gerrymandering is one of the reasons there is so much antagonism between parties. It used to be a long time ago, I could sit down and have a civil conversation with someone of a different party. And that's pretty much almost impossible these days. Tensions are so high between parties.
I disagree with you.
And part of that is
I disagree with you. I have very, very constructive discussions with this man right here,
Mhm.
and we are not the same party,
I get that.
okay?
I'm saying that it doesn't happen as much as it used to. There is a lot of, personal experience, I know that there are a lot of people I know that cannot sit in a discussion without losing their temper. There's a lot of, there's gerrymandering also allows for extremism to filter into the legislature so that you have your parties pulling further and further apart.
How do they do that?
Because the party officials can be influenced by the money. They know they can't lose their seats. They can't lose a seat. So they're free to do whatever they want. There's no necessity for them to listen to the voters. You just said it when you came out here today. You had a question for a legislator
Yeah, but
further
that's
up
because
who
it's in
didn't respond to
Harrisburg
you.
and he's in session, so, you know, usually they don't come back from Harrisburg till Thursday or Friday.
But would you have gotten some type of response if he needed to be more responsive to you rather than the powers that be?
I don't know, in this case, maybe, possibly, but a lot of times we go weeks before we get a response back from an elected official higher up.
Is that how it should be?
Considering the workload, I'm not saying it should be that way, but they got a lot of people to answer for. We're a small majority of people here compared to what they represent. As a district or as the state?
I would
State
like
level?
better representation than that.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how, or to understand rather, how do you know they're doing these things wrong?
Doing what things?
Well, you said gerrymandering, and they favored.
How do I know? Because they formed those districts in 2010 after the census.
Right. And you know what happened in 2010?
Yes, the Republican majority took the thing. But it is a nonpartisan because these same battles are going on in Maryland where the Democrats are doing it. In Illinois where the Democrats are doing it.
Well, in Pennsylvania, the Constitution requires it to be done the way it's done, and the final decision is the Supreme Court.
No, well, the final decision can be the Supreme Court, but it can also be by amendment. And that's what Fair Districts Pennsylvania is proposing, is that it be done by amendment, where we put it before all the citizens of Pennsylvania in an election, and they get to decide.
And what will they decide?
They will decide if they want to keep the way we form districts now, or if they would prefer to have an independent commission.
Independent commission,
Mm-hmm.
how would that be done?
The independent commission allows the Democrats to pick, allows Democrats and Republicans and independents to apply for the position. It's narrowed down to 40. Then the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania chooses 5 based on a resume that includes their voting record, includes their education, includes the fact that they have no personal, business, work relationship with anyone in politics. And then they're forbidden, and once the districts are formed, the commission disbands, and they are not permitted to hold office or to work for any politician for 5 years.
Jim, you have an opinion?
No, I've done a lot of reading on this, and I've listened to a lot of the legislators in our state government and in our federal government, and I saw how many actually back the need for change. People like, Mike Fitzpatrick did when he was in office. He was pushing for it. And now Brian Fitzpatrick was one of his top 10 items that he had on his list of things he wanted to see change. He wanted to see an independent council working with the latest computer models to come up with a fair way that everyone gets to vote. That's why I'm in favor of a change. I'm in favor of a change because I think that gives everybody's vote. Everybody's vote will count. And right now, I agree. I don't think everybody's vote counts because there's districts around. If you look at them, they're shaped like this, right? They're this wide.
I saw the map.
Yeah,
But doesn't it go by elected, who's ever elected? Wouldn't it count? I mean, that's why we wrote, to try and elect the person in there that we want to be representing us.
That's right.
But if you draw the
It's the
districts,
makeup of the people that they're picking out of all of these lines that go around like this.
You know why they do that?
Yeah,
Because
they do know why they do it. That's
the policy says that each representative or senator is to represent an equal number of people as equal as possible.
Right.
And so when populations move, come and go, that's how they wind up drawing those lines, so they get the right amount of population for each representative to represent. That's the intent of what the
That may be the intent, but that's not what's happening.
That's not the way it's actually.
They
broken.
carve
There's other
it,
algorithms
they
that are-
carve it out.
How is what you're proposing or what's being proposed, how is that gonna change it?
Why? Because an independent commission would do it, and they would be able to rely on modern algorithms that were not available 10 years ago. That they could take a look, and there's also the program, the theory called the Markov chain. They can go in and they can definitely prove when something's not fair. The Markov chain has proved that Pennsylvania gerrymandering has unfairly affected the voters of Pennsylvania.
How is it unfairly, they all get to vote?
They all get to vote
That's
for
what
a
I don't
specific
understand.
representative or a specific senator. They don't all get to vote. I don't get to vote for who's going to represent Pittsburgh. I don't get to represent who's,
Should, you think you should have that right to vote?
that's what you're saying.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm saying they have a policy in place and they follow that policy. If they're not following that policy and you have to prove that, then they're wrong.
they are.
Because well, somebody's got to prove that. I haven't
They
seen
have.
anything.
So then you're saying, hold on, you're saying then that when this lawsuit goes through, then the state of Pennsylvania will lose?
The state of Pennsylvania, first of all, it's going before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is chaired by Democrats, so now you have that set up. Now a lawsuit was just accepted by the Supreme Court of the United States to deal with the gerrymandering in Wisconsin, and that is it's believed that that's going to set an incredible precedent. The other thing is what happens if the state changes, that for some reason people don't like what's happening politically, and Democrats win. Now the Democrats will go in and they can re-chunk up the state that into their advantage, so that the Republicans will never ever get a hold. So the point of all of this is to stop it at some point where it's not Republicans and Democrats fighting to see who they can put in districts that will give them the majority. It's called cracking and packing. You either take all the people that you want and you put them in the district that will give them a majority, or you spread them out so they have no weight.
Well, and maybe it's more helpful if you look at it this way, instead of, you support districting change. Don and Jake don't seem to support districting change. I think the question for the Board of Supervisors is not necessarily how you feel about it, but do you think this is an appropriate topic for the Board of Supervisors? And if you do, then you'd want to support a resolution pro or con, and if you don't, then you don't want to act.
I don't think it's something we should be acting on myself personally. I don't think that we should be bringing politics inside of this bill.
Well, the residents of West Rockhill are also the voters of Pennsylvania.
They are, and I think they represent themselves very well in West Rockhill.
We don't have the same problems. You're right, you're absolutely right about that. We're not gerrymandered
I
the
don't have
way
any.
some of the other districts are. Does that mean we should not be concerned that other Pennsylvanians do not have representation?
I'm not saying you shouldn't be concerned, but I'm saying from my perspective, I don't want to support something I'm not 100% sure about on how it works. And I will learn now, and I have been learning a little bit since last month. As this lawsuit unfolds, I'll be paying attention to what's going on and how it takes place.
Mhm.
But I believe that I'm gonna leave myself out of this as of this, right now, the present state. I'm not going to support something I'm not sure about. Okay?
And Mr. Duval?
Fundamentally, this board was elected to run this business for the township. And that's what our job is, to run the business for the township. And we try to do that as well as we possibly can with the amount of funds and everything we have. And when we were sworn in, we swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States and of Pennsylvania. And the Constitution of Pennsylvania says this is the way to be done. Now, if somebody's not doing it that way, then that's something that they've got to deal with. I mean, what you described, or what this commission would be, is essentially the same as what they do now. If you read what the rules are for doing this redistricting, it is.
It's not,
It's in black and white.
it's not.
Well, I don't want to take everybody's time, but if you read the Constitution, it's there.
Mhm. Anything?
Two of the top Democrats, two of the top Republicans who are the officials of that particular group, they're selected, and then they select an independent, somebody else, to act as chair.
They get to put someone in the pool or not. That's what they get to do. They get to put people in this pool of possible commissioners for this independent commission. They don't nominate, it's the state it's the Pennsylvania Secretary of State that reviews each individual's qualifications and decides whether that person will be in. The politician does not have their hand on the person who ends up on that commission. It doesn't work that way.
That's not what the law says.
It's what the proposed law is.
That's what she's proposing.
The current law, those parties which we talked about were represented, and they are responsible to select a fifth person to act as chairman of that commission.
And that's picked by the majority.
It's only picked by the majority, and depends who's in the seat at the time.
Correct.
That has to be approved by the Supreme Court. Yeah, that's what the law says. And the Supreme Court, in fact, in the 2010 census, they rejected what was presented by that group, and they had to go back and redo it. So the Supreme Court has the ultimate decision on this.
And that's what will happen in 2020. The Supreme Court will have the ultimate decision,
And I guess we're trying to figure out what's wrong with that.
because the Supreme Court justices are primarily Democrat. And so it will change.
But what, no, is that, why?
You want to say something?
Is that it?
Well, here's you're talking about the Pennsylvania Constitution, if
Yeah.
I can read from the paper, that's creating districts. The first Pennsylvania Constitution.
Excuse me,
You're-
would you state your name and address, please?
My name is Nick Custer. I, 2515 Wellington Way, Telford.
Thank you,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Can people hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm reading from that Intelligencer article.
Okay.
And it addresses what the Pennsylvania Constitution says. The first Pennsylvania Constitution, which was adopted in 1776, set up state legislative districts based on taxable inhabitants. Article 2, Section 16 of the current Constitution reads, "The Commonwealth shall be divided into 50 senatorial and 203 representative districts, which shall be composed of compact and contiguous territory as nearly equal in population as practical. Unless absolutely necessary, no county, city, incorporated town, borough or township or ward shall be divided." It has not quite worked out that way. So more or less, what you're suggesting is that what's happening now with, using the logarithms where the politicians are selecting their voters is constitutional. It's not. It's not being done the way the people who frame the Constitution expect.
Well, I don't think the Constitution says how they're supposed to do the details of what they use. They use the census, and whatever they get from the census, they.
Actually,
it
what
does-
I
it
just
does
told
say
you,
that.
it says that it's supposed to be contiguous, compact, doesn't split out townships, doesn't break up. Montgomery County, for instance, is in 4 different, congressional districts. It's not being done the way it was intended. It is politicians selecting their voters. There's no question about it.
Mr. Sherman,
May I?
you got name and address?
Yeah, Michael Schromeyer on 2115 Stearns Road. May I just step to the map over here for example? I'm looking at this in a very simple fashion. Let's say you've got, imagine it's Pennsylvania and you've got to divide it up in districts. And you just read the rules by the Constitution. Well, what has changed is now, and I'm not going to use parties because happens in both parties, let's just say Party A and Party B. Party A is in power. What happens now is they have all of the people who are registered to vote. They know who votes, because when you go in and sign up to vote, they know who's voting, and they know your party. So they can then use that in their computer algorithm to determine how many likely voters are gonna vote for Party A all the time, and how many likely voters are gonna vote for Party B all the time. They can then, let's just say, they pick out this yellow, they're gonna say, okay, I'm currently in Party A, and I am the majority party in this, in the legislature. They get to then select that fifth person, so now they have 3-2 on building up this map.
No, excuse me, I don't
Okay.
think, they don't, that committee doesn't decide who that person is.
The majority
They
leader
don't.
does.
The majority do, yeah.
No, there's only two of each party.
There's
The
two
four
of
of
each
them have
party,
to agree.
and the
Four
fifth
members.
person
Incumbents, basically.
is gonna end up being of Party A, because they get to choose. They're the majority party, they get to choose.
That doesn't say that's a final decision,
Pardon?
because the Supreme Court reviews that.
Well, this is just putting out the map. Let me go on though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when the majority party starts allocating the boundaries of the map, the majority party is gonna make sure that they have at least, let's say, over 50%, maybe 60, 70% of the voters are in Party A. And then they'll backfill it in with a minority of voters from Party B. So that guarantees that no matter who votes or how you vote, that the outcome of this district you're looking at is always gonna go for Party A, because they have a majority of people. And they're gonna squiggle this line around and make some of these really strange maps that you see until they get a majority of voters in Party A to vote. So they've guaranteed now that no matter who votes, when you vote, or how you vote, there's always gonna be a majority of Party A winning. So they guarantee a win in this district. That's how it
How is
is
that
working
allowed?
now.
That's not according to the law.
Yes, it is.
It's not according to law, it's stretching the law.
So the issue isn't the law and the procedure, it's the issue of who's doing it. And the general public has the right, the opportunity to participate in these meetings and
No, they
to file.
don't.
Yes, they do.
That's not
They
true.
do not,
Says they do.
that's not true.
If they don't do it, that's another subject. They have
No,
the
no,
right to
it's
do
not
that.
true. It's
No, they,
not true.
It's closed.
The last map, on my understanding, came out at the 11th hour, and it had to be voted on by a deadline. There was no time for anybody to even look at it. The majority party put it out, they voted on it, and it was done. So that's one point,
When was this, the
last time around,
last issue went
2010.
before the Supreme Court, and they rejected it. And they had
It
to
still
take
came
it back
back
and
out with
redo
the
it.
majority party. I'm
Okay.
just explaining how this is being done now, using computer algorithms and better knowledge that they did not have in the past. They can get every voter, and they can predict. I mean, they can't tell me how to vote, but they can predict the majority of the voters are gonna go one way or the other. Okay, my second point I'd like to make now, sit down, is my understanding by the Pennsylvania Constitution is the elected supervisors, which would be you three, are also our representatives to take our concerns to the state. And that's in the Constitution. So I would ask you that, you consider that you are our representatives that are taking our concerns to the state. So whether you are in favor of this or against this, you would be taking that up to the state.
Okay.
I'm finished, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Any other comment?
Done it.
Well, I know your position.
Yeah, you know my position. I think we need a change. I will say right now, gerrymandering does not affect us on this board. We're a very small municipality. Everybody in our municipality votes. It's not spread all over the place. As far as I know, our legislative district is not gerrymandered. Craig Stats has a nice closed-in area, and, you know, it covers the whole nice area, doesn't squiggle all over the place. But I've seen some that are really, really bad, and I think from a state perspective, I think change needs to be made. I'm not saying there's any problem with the way ours is done here. I think ours is done pretty darn well. But from a state perspective, I think there's changes that need to be made, and that's why I'm in favor of.
But what I'm hearing, that's because somebody's not following the law.
Well, they've been getting away with it.
Well, that's not following the law.
No, I'm not denying that. I guess that's, I'm not denying, I'm not arguing with you, Don. I'm just saying that.
So each
because
area, if they think they have that situation, they have to do something about it.
They are. That's what
Excuse
this-
me, up until the current algorithms that have come out, there was no way to prove that they were district in a partisan biased way. But now there are. So this is what, they're trying to correct it by an amendment, but there's also lawsuits popping up all over the place to correct it, because now it can be corrected. The Supreme Court did not hear anything the last time it went before them. Because they did not have a quantitative way to determine fairness and unfairness, but there is. And that's why everything is different than when it was, when the law was written originally in 1937.
The facts are, at the last count of the census, the Supreme Court did review it, and he rejected it the first time.
But there was no quantitative basis. The difference is now there is.
I understand that, but the fact that they now have better quantitative capabilities,
Mhm.
is that a reason to change the law?
Absolutely, if it proves that there's unfairness, yes.
Well, they can change it, they have the ability to do that. Maybe that's what you need to
Would you
get.
vote yourself out if you didn't want to be voted out? That's what you're asking people that live in these districts that are gerrymandered. You're asking them to allow people to vote them out because they're not doing their job, but they can't vote them out if
No, I'm
they're
not-
in one of these
I'm not saying that.
districts.
I'm saying each area in the district, they all have the individual ability to understand, like everybody here now understands better, to understand this and do something about it.
We are. That's what this is.
They can.
It has to be done at the state
But
level.
why change the law?
We're not-
They're not gonna change the Constitution. I mean,
I'm gonna stop this right now.
Wait, can I
Yeah,
just
I
say one
get you.
thing?
I
I'm
get
gonna
it.
stop this right now.
I can't say, make
You
one comment?
may, name and address, please.
Okay, Ada Miller, 916,000 Acre Road. I just want to comment on Mr. DeVal's response or remark about the Constitution, not changing the Constitution. That's why we have amendments. The U.S. Constitution has 33 amendments, and just to name a few, it gives us the right to bear arms. It gives us the right to exercise our religion and free speech, all these amendments. It gives, oh my God, women the right to vote. How about that crazy idea? No, I'm just saying, so the Constitution, and the Pennsylvania Constitution since 1776, we have like 5 versions of it, and the last one was 1968. These documents flow with the changes of how our country is changing, how the world is changing. To hang your hat on that Constitution and say it's the law and we can't change it, that is absolutely absurd. 33 amendments to the U.S. Constitution to deal with changes in our country, our culture, and even the world, and even the Pennsylvania Constitution has been changed since 1976, I think 4 or 5 times, I have the dates. So to sit there and hang your hat on that Constitution is just insulting to the American public.
I didn't
Thank you.
say they couldn't change it. You
Okay.
said they couldn't
All right.
change it.
We're gonna let this where it is.
I'm done, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not looking to change the way this is right now until I see more information. And I'm guessing that you're not looking to change or to support this.
I mean,
Okay.
because somebody's doing something wrong, it doesn't say you change it, you make them do it right.
We thank you for your presentation, Mr. Schramer.
If you need anything, let me know, I'll get it for you.
We will do that.
Mhm.
Okay? Moving on to the next item on the agenda. What? No. There's no need to do it.
No, it doesn't.
Rich Hill Associates, zoning amendment.
Is that all that's on here?
So West Rockhill Township file, which has everything. Good evening. Nate Fox with Hopper Kerman on behalf of Rich Hill Associates. With me is Jim Haynes from Rich Hill Associates, it's our property owner and developer, our home builder for this project. If this would go forward is NVR, that's Ryan Holmes. Jeff Peters, land manager for NVR, is here with us this evening. Just give a wave. Our planner, who'll be speaking to you tonight as well, is John Kennedy from Kennedy and Associates. We have Emery Vigilante from Langen Engineering to speak to traffic, and Luke Keller from Langen Engineering to speak to site design issues.
A card from one of the gentlemen
Yeah,
later at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we could go to the West Rockhill Township zoning map, last file there. And forgive me, I don't have a laser pointer, but the property we are talking about.
Hey, Nate?
Yes.
I have one.
Thank you, Ed. I won't take your car. Thank you very much. So the property we were talking about is this property, which is actually two parcels in West Rockhill Township, which the entire property we're considering also includes 86 acres in Richland Township, which is adjacent to Route 309 on Rich Hill Road. 16 acres are in West Rockhill Township, and that is part of your RC Residential Conservation Zoning District. What we are hoping can be considered, which we had a staff meeting about, is some sort of zoning amendment that would allow the developer and builder to construct single-family homes on the 16 acres in West Rockhill Township, as well as the portion we're working on in Richland Township. I'll get to that in a second. But the idea being that we would be looking for 23 market rate single-family homes and 13 active adult homes on the property. And if I could trouble you to go back to our files here, we'll the Rich Hill Associates plan, if you don't mind. This area here is this is the portion in West Rockhill Township. We've gone to Richland Township as recommended by staff, and what we're working on in Richland Township is a zoning amendment, resurrecting a zoning amendment that was previously considered for this property that, with some very minor tweaks, would allow this subdivision, land development project. Continuous commercial along Route 309. Some things we'll have to address is the primary question that was raised was traffic improvements, as Rich Hill Road is along the there's a median in the, the concrete barrier in the middle of 309, and the early discussions with PennDOT, and Anne Marie, please jump in. PennDOT suggested a right-in, right-out only for the time being, depending upon what may happen with the future alignment of Paletown Road or other traffic improvements in the area. Richland Township asked us to do some traffic study work prior to proceeding to the Planning Commission. We will be going to the Planning Commission, we believe, in August, just for time frame to get things moving along. The overall reception in Richland was positive, and I think from staff, the direction we see, because the vast majority of the project is in Richland Township, see what Richland Township's read on this was, and then come to West Rockhill. We thank you for having us here this evening. But an overview of the plan, if we were permitted, or a zoning amendment was drafted and we're allowed to proceed. The green lots are age-restricted homes. These would be single-family detached age-restricted homes, about 2,000 square feet each. Clubhouse and common area amenities, fully walkable community, and these, I'd say, tan lots would be market rate single-family homes. From a planning perspective, and John, if I'm saying anything incorrectly or stepping on your toes here, the idea is that the market rate single-family homes, these would typically be families who would more prefer to be back towards back of the community, back up to woods, more open space, and the age-restricted homes would be adjacent to a clubhouse. And anything I'm missing on the plan, or would you like to add?
The only thing I would add is in terms of the size of the lots, the active adult lots, which are in the green, would be 6,000 square foot minimum lot size, and the market rate would be 7,000 square feet in terms of the minimum lot size. And this is consistent with the type of developments that we are currently planning really all over. There's really more of a trend towards much smaller lots. People simply want less to take care of in that sense. This would all have a homeowners association. It most likely would be divided into 2 homeowners associations, one for the market rate and one for the active adult. All of the streets that we were proposing would be private, so they would be maintained by the HOA.
Great, thank you. And just a bit of history of this property. The current property owners, Rockhill Associates, and through a couple different members have changed in and out of the partnership over the years. They've owned the property since about 1986, and it's been a long process and long consideration as to what makes sense and what can be done with this property. It's along a major thoroughfare commercial corridor in the Richland Township, with the vast majority of the property in Richland Township, but large commercial retail. It's candidly not zoned for that at the moment, but that just doesn't make sense. Retail is not something that is a growth industry at the moment. And John, I think from a planning perspective, you can.
We're seeing interest in retail shrink quite a bit. I mean, obviously, this is a reaction to the way people live today and shop online. So we're seeing kind of a recalibration, I guess you might say, of retail spaces. There still is a need for it, but you need to be much more careful in terms of the types of retail that you put in a location and the size and something.
We're not planning on any big boxes, a little.
No. Actually, this parcel here would not be really large enough. It's a fairly small, I think it's about 12, 15 acres. So it's not a real large commercial area. But it is something that Richland Township has been fairly open about stating that they really want to try to encourage as much commercial as they can on 309. I think they also are looking to improve the quality, the visual quality of that part of 309. If you're familiar with it, that's where the expressway area kind of stops and you pop out, and it's really a little dog-eared.
Mixed bag.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a little dog-eared, I'll use that term, but I think they see, that was one of the reasons why they entertained this mixed-use ordinance in the first place, which would actually encompass much more than our property, and they want to see if they could find a way to improve the visual quality of the roadside.
Would this be a by right project for Richland?
Yes, it would be, the way that the ordinance is written now. Now, this plan was produced pretty much in accordance with that ordinance as they left it. And there would only have to be some very minor tweaks to accommodate this plan.
Which we're going to the planning commission in about a month and a half to discuss with them.
What would be examples of some of those tweaks?
About a 500 square foot difference to the lot size.
Yeah, just some minor changes in the lot sizes. In terms of the types of units that are allowed, they're allowed. In terms of the fact, there's not a real hard, fast requirement for mix. The mix requirement is pretty flexible, which is also something, I'm familiar with your zoning ordinance, I have looked at it. There's not really anything that quite matches in terms of size or in terms of mix, because there are mix mandates in some of your denser districts. And one of the things that NVR is interested in doing is just strictly a single-family detached home type. They're not interested in attached. They don't want townhomes or carriage homes. And so, in that sense, we want to get away from the mix. Now, they are certainly interested, excuse me, certainly would like to do the mixture of marketing types, I guess, the active adult and the market rate. In terms of the whole community, it's roughly 2/3 active adult, 1/3 market rate. So in that sense, it would have much less of an impact on traffic and on school districts and things like that. And it actually would also be a tremendous boost to the municipality and school district in terms of fiscal impact. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but at some point we will have to start going there.
And part of the reason we're asking for that lot size to reach a number of homes in the active adult section that gives you a critical mass that allows you to have the clubhouse and the recreation amenities while spreading out the monthly payment for the association fee to a number that isn't overly burdensome and allows people to have those nice facilities. Is that fair? Correct. That's a fair understanding. We do have pictures and renderings of the homes if you're interested in seeing them. That we'd be interested in building here. If that's, you might think go through those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. We'll first go through we'll go proposed market rate. Bear with us, and Jeff, jump in if you're saying anything correct. If you could jump to the next slide, please. These are homes that Ryan Homes is known for building in the area, and that's what they'd like to build here. These are detailed architectural facades, large single-family homes, three mostly four-bedroom homes, the availability to finish basements. I think the minimum square footage you'd be looking at is 2,500, and then with options, they could go up to 3,500 or more. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
correct?
I think they're all four-bedroom homes. We almost always do basements as well, so yeah, 25 to 3,500 square feet. We're building these great success throughout Chester, Montgomery, Bucks County.
They built these recent, Milford,
Milford,
Hilltown Township,
Yep.
a couple communities in Richland, I think.
Yep. You got it. You're doing fine.
You know this already. Could we jump to the next slide?
Hold on, what's the exterior finish?
Exterior finishes are a mix of siding, masonry, and I believe that looks to me like a composite cedar shake material, like you're seeing on some of the newer homes. That the architectural trend, I think, for current homes is not just one uniform finish, but a mix. I think is what you're seeing in a lot of the new home communities. And you have some front porches and various details. Each home, when
What's the bottom right, is that a brick?
I believe that's either brick or stone below the water table, and then siding above, and I think you've got the composite cedar shake look above. And each homeowner with NVR can come in and select from an array of elevations to suit their specific preferences, and I think the NVR will pre-select certain options depending upon what has done well in a community or in the region. And I think what we hope you take away from this is that we have a first-class builder who has been successful and has gone through the recent recession and is still here and still does a great job and is continuing with success in the universe.
All the service underground?
All the service is underground. Utilities, yeah, I don't think you do any overhead electric anymore. I think that's something that I think the market demands that. And just one point we'll come back to, I'm sure somebody will ask eventually about public sewer. This is within Richland Township's 537 area, so our intention would be to bring water and sewer from Tollgate Road down along Route 309. That's an area of Richland Township that does not have public sewer available to it yet. So this developer will be bringing that down and made available to this community, and that would allow for this, and also hopefully allow for future opportunities along the 309 corridor. Can we jump to the next slide? Again, a rendering of one of the models. And you can just go through. I think there's some pictures towards the end of the actual. Here's I don't know where this community is, but that's you have stone on the front porch and various sidings and architectural details. So these are the homes that we'd like to build. If we could go to back to the file. Look at the next down. These are the age-restricted homes, or active adult homes. Go to the next page. Same thing, mix of masonry and siding elevations. And each model has a series of different elevations, and feel free to keep clicking through. But these will be about 2,000 square feet each on a base model, with options to increase that depending upon what the preference of the homeowner is.
What are the dimensions of the base model? Base dimensions?
So they're 40-foot wide by like around 50 to 60 foot deep. So they range.
So greater depth and width.
I'm sorry?
Greater depth and width.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's predominantly to provide for first floor living, and then more open floor plan.
Yeah, we've just found that that floor plan is much more efficient and more marketable than a wider house that fronts the street more. You get a better, nicer, more open floor plan that's more marketable than most buyers.
And the larger lots where you say 8,000 square feet.
So the market, or the active adult ones would be the smaller lots, they're around 6,000 square foot. Just again, to minimize the amount of maintenance and work it would take to, those buyers, don't want to maintain it. The HOA would be maintaining those lots. They want a single family home that they've been living in and been accustomed to most of their lives. They obviously, so they want that aspect of the community, but they want someone, the community to take care of it for them.
And the 6,000 square foot would be the minimum lot size, whereas you'll see the lots that are in West Rockhill Township around the cul-de-sac, you actually have some significantly larger lots because of the way the cul-de-sac lays out. Jeff, I'm sorry if I interrupted you. And same with the single-family lots. So of the larger lots in the community, those would be in West Rockhill
So those are
Township.
8,000 square foot.
I don't know what.
They're actually, the minimums are 7, but I can tell you just by looking at them, the ones in West Rockhill are probably closer to 8, I would think. But zoning wise, we're aiming at like 7,000.
As the bare minimum, so
That's
8,
the
we've got
minimum.
about,
Oh, okay.
we've got about a fifth of an acre.
Correct.
So our ask is that we receive some direction or some feedback from the township if this is something the township would like to see us would require a zoning amendment, be it a text amendment, or we can talk with your very, very able solicitor as to what would be the legally preferable vehicle to do that. There are several options, and this is a legislative decision of the township, which is why we're here this evening. And we would like to continue moving forward in tandem with our progress in Richland Township.
I think here you'd almost certainly want to do a map amendment.
Do you provide for any additional parking?
All of the units would have 2-car garages, and then there would be parking in front of the garage, which doesn't necessarily count, but it is there. And then there would be the ability to have some parking on the street. In some cases, in many of these communities, we do add additional supplemental lots at times.
And those streets meet our township requirements, or just requirements in the width?
But that might be getting a little bit ahead of us right now, but I don't see why we could not. We'd have to, we'd have to start to work through the details a little bit more carefully. But our intention would be that the streets be private, so they would be maintained by the community. The only other reason why I'm hesitating is I don't necessarily endorse wide streets, because wide streets make people go fast. We do not want to make people go fast. But you do need some areas to be wider for parking, so I'm going to throw that out.
There are some fire.
Emergency
Yeah.
services, fire
Oh,
trucks.
That you
Okay.
absolutely have to be able to accommodate those.
That is
There's no
key,
doubt about
key.
it. Yes.
Narrow streets, if you want to see a bad representation of narrow streets, just go down to Campus Drive, across from the high school. And you will see a bad
Oh,
reputation
yeah, well, yeah,
of
okay.
narrow streets in the development, where it's heavily populated.
That's what kids park.
I have the same concerns as Mr. Gavalder regarding that matter. I I know and you know that nobody just has two cars. Or if they have company, where are those people gonna park? You gotta think about that.
It's in our best interest now.
And the other thing, the other concern I have there, and I'll wait till you get your traffic study, but is traffic issues. Big item on my radar here,
Okay.
but I'll wait to see what the traffic study says before I make a comment on that.
Yeah, it also appears, I only see one exit and entrance.
There's a total of 3. There's one on 309, and then there's 2 on Ridge Hill Road. For a total of 3.
Traffic can only go south from.
I realize that, and that's one of the reasons why early on, we have been told to go talk to PennDOT. Because I think what's gonna happen is that entire corridor there has to be examined.
Okay.
And so that actually is our goal, and that would also include the intersection.
Right.
So we did receive that message loud and clear, that we need to go talk to PennDOT and see what we can do to help out the situation.
We're actually in the process of submitting a scoping application to them, and with that, both West Rockhill and Richland Township will be included in that whole meeting and, submission, and we'll
It's a
have.
complex intersection there.
We would appreciate that. We would appreciate, from this point forward, being copied in with all your communications with PennDOT, so that by the time you bring a plan to us, all the decisions haven't been made. So
We'll have a
that-
better understanding.
We would like to do things in tandem, so that everything is, each municipality is kept up to date.
He's the man you have to satisfy.
Well, and him too.
Well, they work it good.
And again, on that point, in order for this to be a uniform community, as John put out, we do want to work in tandem and move things along in such a way that everybody gets their opportunity to review, comment, and make sure this works. But that requires coordination on our part with you, as well as Richland, and hopefully between both townships, to make sure that this is something that moves forward in an appropriate manner.
And one thing that's important is to consider, when it's all said and done, the complexity of the services that would need to be provided for that property, which is in 2 different townships, so that needs to get some serious consideration as well.
I think we're confident in our development team, and absolutely, we've considered that, and we'll continue to consider that, make sure that gets addressed. So at this point, we'll continue on with PennDOT. Is there anything, we're going to proceed to the Richland Township Planning Commission. Is this something at this point you would like us to proceed to your planning commission, or do we consult with staff again? We're really just hoping to get some direction as to what our next step is in West Rockhill to move forward.
I personally would be curious what our planning commission would feel about this.
Yeah, I would too.
I will share with you, I want you to keep in mind Ridge Hill Road, okay? Because that, no matter whether this gets changed, that this could be put in West Rockhill or not, Ridge Hill Road's still going to experiencing traffic if that Richland Township part is built.
Sure.
As well as Yankee Road. I believe it's Yankee Road, that ends out with Richland, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
suggest you,
Because they're going to experience a whole lot more traffic. Because there are people that are going to get smart and they're going to go out the back way instead of out the front way.
Sure.
They're going to head over to Tollgate Road.
So that's one of the items when we discuss with PennDOT and West Rockhill and Richland at the table as well, this scoping meeting. We'll discuss study areas, so those intersection concerns will be brought up, and, we can all come up with a study area that makes sense, not only for Richland, but also West Rockhill, and satisfies PennDOT. So we'll have a chance to discuss all that at that time. So, but it's good to know.
at a minimum, keep Mr. Lippincott in the loop on everything. And he'll facilitate the legal counsel, engineering, and our planning commission.
Understood. All right. All right, we thank you very much, and look forward to meeting the planning commission. Thank you. Thank you, likewise, Barry.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we can go second.
Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, if I may. That would be committee reports. Planning Commission, Mr. Markley. How are you?
Managed. I'll stay right here.
Okay.
The planning commission had two applicants. Relatively small one was a lot line adjustment, was a little confusing. That would have been Olsterman up on Catch Basin Road. There are two small lots up there, one about 2 acres, the other one 7/10 of an acre. After the 63 acres behind them allocates land, the one lot would become conforming and would have additional area for resolving a sewer issue as possible. The other lot still is way under conforming, but at least it's less conforming, and it's additional land that would be utilized for resolving a sewer issue. So we granted conditional preliminary and final to both of those. Now, as you know, I have a medical problem. I told my wife Shirley would be back by 7:15.
Uh-oh. Shall we call her? Shall we call her for you?
It's a wonder she's not here.
Leave
So I'd like to pull rank on the police department. My next report would be for the holiday house pool.
Not a problem.
It's very simple. I just put together a few numbers. I wanted you to see I'm not taking much participation in the pool at the moment. Suzanne, who's not here, I don't want she's going, and Jim have done a wonderful job.
They have.
Wonderful, just miraculous. And I believe the capital account is still at 26,900. The checking account is 30,464. Judy, did you get that simple page then?
They have a,
Okay.
they have a copy here.
And now more important, and it's really important. Last year at this time, we sold 249 season tickets. This year, we're 259. We're actually 10 ahead. We're aiming for 292 is where we were last year. So all of this effort that has gone on, including the parking lot, all of the other things, just working out well.
Yeah. Great.
Are there any questions?
I have a few things to say. You
Okay.
can sit down just for a second.
No, I have to stand up
Oh, okay.
because when I'm done here, I'm gonna walk out.
I want everybody to understand how much work has been put into the pool. So Judy has put in my thumb drive there. I just have a couple of pictures here to show folks a lot of the changes that have been made. We started, I guess, last fall when someone donated some money to us, and we just started then and just started moving forward, and we've had so much participation from volunteers, so much generosity from our community with donations. It's just amazing. You can't see that too well, but our entire parking lot has been resurfaced, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It's been 4 years since that's been resurfaced. I can't tell you how many times people have come in here, walked into the front gate and just screamed and yelled so happy because they can't believe it's the same pool they've been coming to for years and years.
And I will say, Jim, when you walk that parking lot, you pay attention to detail.
Yeah,
The sealing of the seams,
yes.
the striping is done to the T. So I want everybody to be aware of what was done there.
Well, by the way, we've also had an offer for a load of stone to go back to the, I don't know if you
Filter
know this
house, yeah.
information, back to the filter house so we don't drag dirt back onto the parking lot.
Great
So
idea.
I'd like to take us up on that offer, because there is dirt coming in there and it's just messing it up. Okay, next, coming in, this is the entrance when you come in now. We had this beautiful mural painted. It took about 3 or 4 months actually from the design and all the way through it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Everybody just loves it. It just brightens your spirits up when you're walking in. I had someone tell me yesterday how when they walked in, it just, everything looked bright and happy, and they were just so thrilled to be there.
Was that from a graffiti person?
It was, yeah.
That's amazing.
And that, everything you've seen so far has not cost you folks anything, by the way, because this has all been donations and volunteers coming in to help us do the work. Plus, Jeff's been getting people from, that are on community service, and they've been painting and scraping and pressure washing and everything else, so. Next one, Judy. The pool itself it looks pristine right now. It's just, the water's beautiful. The water's actually nice and warm now, so come on over and take a swim. It just, go ahead, Judy. I'm not gonna take a lot of your time. We redid the showers and the stalls like this. All these stalls are new. They were donated from a $5,000 donation we got. We had all the stalls replaced. And I also want to say that Worth & Company, if you go back to one, Worth & Company is replacing all of the toilets and sinks. We just didn't get them yet, thanks to Mr. Kaiser. It is coming. We're going to replace all the toilets and sinks. It's just, people are just amazed at the work. And next one, we've got a whole new snack bar. If you don't want to join the pool and you still want to eat, come up to Cool Eats. You can sit in the parking lot, place your order. There's a picnic table there. If need be, we'll throw 3 more picnic tables out there. And come out and have a salad with me. Okay? We've got the salads are this big. I'm telling you, it took me half an hour to eat it, but the place is fabulous. So I just want to say, I just think so much has been going on. I really want to see people coming out. We're 10 memberships above where we were last year, and I think the word is. I talked to Sheila, who owns the snack bar, yesterday. She said the word is all over the internet about how great our pool is now. And she's hearing it from many different places. So I think we're going to see a lot more.
Yeah. And I do want you to understand that when we sold the caretaker's house a few years back and got to $178,000, which is now down to, as you can see, a $26,000 bucket, almost all that money went into infrastructure. You couldn't see it. 3 years of spending 150 grand.
Right.
It was coping and plastering. It was the filter house itself, piping. So now we're able to spend money where people see it, and it's having a lot of impact.
Yeah.
$2 have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Good
Well, I
night.
want to thank everybody that volunteered, everybody that put time, effort, money, their labor and everything else into this. Thank you. No, I'll shut my mouth now.
All right, so, I just want to, next on the agenda here is the Conservation Committee.
No, I think it would be Park and Rec.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are correct, thank
We
you.
need a motion to approve the planning commission?
So, I'll make a motion.
We have a motion made, second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we're also, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the pool report as presented. Joint Records Authority.
I'll second.
Okay. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, now I will ask for the Park and Rec. Mr. Strobel,
Yes, hello.
you're up to bat.
Okay, yeah, been long so far. The Park and Rec is pleased to announce that on August 19th, we're going to have a movie in the park night. Rotary Club has offered to bring in a movie, popcorn, and it's all on the club itself, so it won't cost the township anything, and either the Park and Rec. So we'll have a 50-50 to raise money for our extension of the pot lot. And we'll be selling popcorn, but otherwise you'll be able to come with your chair, watch a movie in the park, free. So this is our first try. We'll see how it goes. All depends upon the weather and our advertising, see how we can get the people out with our
I'm sorry, what was the date?
19th.
August 19th.
August 19th?
Saturday.
And how are you getting the word out to people?
Well, we're gonna have a flyer, and it's being worked on now.
Website?
Yeah, and Penny Power, and some, minor advertising,
Okay.
but
Is there a fee involved?
Rotary is gonna do it the whole bit. they're gonna bring in the movie, they're gonna set things up, they're gonna bring in a,
We'll have a donation jar for the,
Yeah.
for the,
for the top
For the
lot
top
too.
lot.
And we'll have 50-50 and try to raise some money, you know? This is our first try, but since they've offered to come in and do this, now we haven't officially, chose a movie yet. We've got some ideas, something that'll be good for kids and adults.
that'll be worked out.
So it could be a good night where people come out and we'll see, we hope.
Enjoy the outdoors.
Would you coordinate that with Suzanne, because we've got movies coming up over at the pool too. So we want to make sure we don't show the same movie.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And you do have movies in the pool too. Yeah,
And Denise, and Paul's at Rotary, so.
yeah, he's the
Make
one
sure
who's
that,
bringing
make
it
sure
in.
that loops there between you and Suzanne and Paul.
Oh, yeah, well, we've had our meetings already, just them
Okay.
and me, and trying to get things moving with the flyer, for instance.
Yep.
So we get the advertising, so we get the public to see what's going on. Now, we haven't chosen a movie yet, so we have some ideas. Any ideas for a movie that people would like to see in the park? None? I mean, there's a lot of movies out there, but, we're gonna.
You guys will come up with one.
Oh, we'll come up. Okay, so that's our main input right now. The vet brick that we had for Bob Croizet, we had a small brick chose, but the wording is too much, so Park and Rec has agreed, we'd like to go to a 12 by 12 to fit all the wording in. So we're looking, for the approval on that.
I'll make that motion. Second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So, and the bricks are almost completed now over there. There's only a few to be done. And once they're finished with all the new bricks, then I'm gonna come in, power wash, so everything looks equal.
Okay.
We're hoping. I have my doubts, there's a few things, but, so I'd like to go over there soon and take a look at it. Otherwise, the only, there's no other changes except for, September Fest, we voted, the Park and Rec, we're gonna continue with the, past, with the food. You guys are gonna be there and collecting money, and we'll have the
We
same
are.
We're happy to
people.
help.
But, I was hoping for a change, but we're gonna continue
Yeah.
the existing.
There's a lot of time in the future, and there'll be a time for it.
Okay.
And it creates a certain atmosphere at the event too.
Yeah, as long as the woman from the park area is willing to come and do the cooking.
Campground.
Campground.
Homestead.
Yeah, as long as they're willing to come in and do all the work,
It'll work out.
and she said she is. So we're gonna keep with that,
Good.
and that's all I have.
All right.
Anything else that I missed on the minutes?
Nope, you're good.
Okay,
I'll entertain a motion for
Okay.
approval of the Park and Rec report.
I'll
All right, move and second.
Second.
All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. All right, next on the agenda is the police report. Sergeant Maloney, how are you?
Hi folks, how are we tonight?
Good.
Chief Blake sent me, he's away, he's hoping to be back next month. The following information lists the monthly activities for the Pennridge Regional Police Department for the month of May 2017. Pennridge Regional Police Department responded to 365 calls for service. Of those calls, 173 were in East Rockhill, 192 in West Rockhill. Department handled 26 traffic crashes, 14 crashes in East Rockhill, 12 in West. 11 were reportable crashes and 15 were non-reportable crashes. The department also investigated one fatal crash on Route 313 on May the 16th. Criminal activity, we were very, very busy in May. They responded to 6 Part 1 crimes and 52 Part 2 crimes, totaling 58 crimes. West Rockhill reported crimes. There was a sex offense against a minor, motor vehicle theft, theft $200 and over, 2 cases of that, 3 trespass cases, 4 criminal mischiefs, harassment by communication, 3 of them, narcotics possession for marijuana, narcotics possession for heroin, DUI, harassment, disorderly conduct, and ordinance violations, in which we responded to 3 of those cases. Criminal arrests were made, homicide by vehicle, DUI related. That was the Route 313 in East Rockhill crash. That ended up being a homicide by vehicle case, DUI related. There were 2 thefts. There were 12 DUIs, 12 DUI arrests in May. That's one of our higher numbers in recent, probably recent two years or so. So the guys were really out looking for stuff. Possession of marijuana, we had 2 of those. Possession of drug paraphernalia, we had 4 of them. 1 public drunkenness, 2 disorderly conducts, 13 defiant trespasses, 2 simple assaults. We also conducted 201 traffic enforcement details, 34 traffic details on Old Bethlehem Pike. Issued 21 verbal traffic warnings, 42 citations, 50 written warnings. We also conducted 285 business checks. Administratively, CREA, which is the Criminal History Record Information Act audit, was done in May. We participated in the Deibler Dash and Olympic Day at Deibler Elementary School. And Chief also attended an administrative parent meeting at Pennridge High School. The Mix Act report, Officer D. Giovanni, he had 6 out-of-service violations, 16 inspections, and 30 violations listed for the month of May.
Can I ask you something on that before you go any further? Do we have anything scheduled? I don't want to hear the date, but do we have anything scheduled for our township in the near future?
I'm sorry, for
the truck inspections? You know how we were in the group?
Yes, we have done, I know we've already done 1, and what Officer Di Giovanni does is, I know we've done 1.
2.
Have we done 2 this year already? Because what it is essentially, it's us, Richland, Hilltown, Springfield, Percy.
Okay.
So what they do is they go to each municipality so that it's done evenly, and what he'll do in our municipality, he'll do it in West Rockhill, and then he'll go to East Rockhill.
Sure.
He'll split the day. He'll usually do 313 for half the day and Ridge Road
That's what I'm asking.
for half the day. I thought he had only done 1 up to now, but they may have done 2 already in the spring. So he won't have any more in our area. He'll be somewhere else with those guys. I know that they have been extremely productive.
Okay.
All of in Hilltown, in Percy, they've done some very good things.
Okay.
A lot of stops.
All right. Mr. Collingwood, got a question?
David Collingwood, Warren Road. I have a question, and this may not be the right time to bring it up, but I brought it up at the police commission meeting, and Jay, you were there, Jim, you were there, and Don, you were there in the audience. There was a speeding violation on Simmons Road, and there were juveniles involved, and there was a wreck, and I brought up at the police commission meeting about lowering the speed limit on Barnes Simmons and even Gold Mine, that triangle.
Good time to bring it up.
25 miles an hour from 35, because it's no white lines, no yellow, and it's 35 out on Cat Hill. Excuse me. I was told to bring it back to this meeting. So,
Yeah, you brought it up at
Where
the
I
right
am.
time. And thanks for reminding me about that, because I forgot to write that down. Mary, in the township, we can only reduce it to 25 without a traffic study. Is that correct, like we did on Catch Basin Road? You have to go to 25 without a traffic study.
You can go to 25 without a traffic study. Let me check the vehicle code and see if it's like as low as 25, but I think what it says is, may establish a speed limit of 25 miles an hour in residential areas.
Yeah.
So, I don't think, it's not a PennDOT road, right?
No, it's our road.
So it's our road, so I would say there's no specific regulations that require you do they have to do it for liquid fuels?
We've always done it just for enforcement, but in general, yes, it took the 25 mile an hour on a residential street is sort of the standard, and that's by the state regulation, you don't have to do a traffic study.
Okay. Because when we have, if this, don't you write anything about this. If it's 35, before we can make our tickets, they gotta be going 45. You're looking at 10 mile an hour because of the timing. So if we could get it down to 25, they gotta be doing 35 before they.
You can go to 25 positively.
And I think that would be smart.
I thought you were asking me
No,
if it's 35, do you need a traffic study, and that's an answer to your question.
Okay, we'd like to go to 25. I should say the request. was to
It's
go to
certainly
25.
a residential road, I'd say.
Okay. So we'll pursue this. what matter?
You draft an ordinance and we can bring it back to you at the next meeting and you can decide whether you want to authorize advertising.
Okay.
And one for gold mines, Simmons.
And Bourne. Yes.
But we went the route a couple of years ago in Bourne.
Pardon?
And I said, we went that direction, checked it out, for Bourne. And you can go as low as 35, but other than that, you gotta have traffic study.
25. You can go 25.
There's in the traffic code, it says that if a municipality can establish in residential districts a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit without a traffic study, there has to be a residential district, and it says 25, so, yeah,
Is
I'll do
Simmons
that.
Road considered residential?
Yeah.
So Simmons,
Gold mine and Bourne.
Did you check that also?
I,
Those roads are designed for 25 miles per hour and 35 being the max. I mean, they're not designed to be going faster than that. They're very narrow roadways. They're not really lined appropriately. I mean, I shouldn't say not lined appropriately, but they're not lined. So, people should be traveling slow on them.
I'm gonna bring an example up because I had a situation with a family member living in Campus Drive about speeding, right? And when you look at it, if you actually time them, they're not speeding that much. It seems like they're going so fast because there's cars on both sides of the road and the road's so narrow. So that is key, and people don't understand that.
Very, very true.
Until they really look into it.
And the ditch.
Yeah, until they figure out what the heck, the speed limit really is.
Yeah.
But I think it will save all of us and a lot of headaches if we could reduce it, slow them down a little bit, 25.
And I mean, there are areas where guys can get set up. I can have Officer D go out there and take a look at some areas where we can potentially set up some traffic enforcement stuff.
Yeah, we'll look at it. Okay?
Sure.
And we will, I'll bring this up next week at our police commission meeting as well, to let Chief know that we've taken the steps to start the process.
Perfect.
Okay?
Great.
Oh, wait a minute, are you done?
As long as you gentlemen say I am.
Good? Okay. All right, we have a motion made for approval of the police report as presented.
I second.
Second it, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much,
Stay
folks.
safe.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda that I skipped over, but I'm putting it in the place of the Joint Rec Committee report, is the Conservation Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have the Conservation Committee agenda for May 18th. They had it. There wasn't anything too exciting on there, but I do have one item to talk about in executive session.
Okay. Very good. All right, I'll make a motion, we approve the Conservation Committee.
Second.
Okay, second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the tax collector's report. Suzanne is not here. Okay. Did she run away with the money?
No, she did not run away with the money. So far for this month, she collected $64,804.31 for the month of May.
Okay. Any questions on that, gentlemen?
No, I move for approval as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Okay, next on the agenda is the engineer's report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on your agenda is the Fedegari Land Development Plan. We have Ed Wild tonight here representing the applicant. You have to give a brief overview of the project. Understand?
Thank you. Good evening. Nice to be here again. As you heard, I'm Ed Wild. I was here for Fedegari. You may have some recollection of this project. It's been in and around the township in one fashion or another for, I think, probably going on 2 years. If we can, I'll open up the two plans. The original plan was to develop the property at 1228 Bethlehem Pike, which I think that you're aware of is already Fedegari Technologies. Initially, there was a proposal to develop that property independently and put an addition on it. Essentially, this portion here is Fedegari. Well, I'll take that back. The Fedegari property is here. And after the property was proposed for an initial development, the opportunity arose for Fettigari to acquire the Dorothy Walker tract. Dorothy Walker tract fronts on Old Mill Road, which is here. Oops.
Rob, did you want the other one now?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Maybe just go back to the other plan. I'll just do it from the one sheet. So this is the Dorothy Walker tract, and it had a single-family dwelling on it. The initial plan that was proposed was to develop only the Fettigari tract and only with an addition. When the Dorothy Walker tract became available, we sort of put the original plan on hold, and the land development that was proposed got a little bit more adventurous. The plan is to combine the two parcels, have them be one tract, and to put on a bigger addition. And so the addition is now shown here as this rectangle that would be added onto the back of the existing building. It's proposed to be in two phases, the front half to be built first, and most of the parking to be built with the first addition. The parking to be held in reserve, and now if we could go to the other plan, I hate to do that to you, but now the proposal is to have parking in the back here. That parking would be built when this second half is built. So you'd see the parking being added out front, the first addition being put on, and this parking area being built as part of the first addition. The Dorothy Walker house, which is rather in need of upgrade or repair, is proposed to be demolished and a new dwelling built effectively there. The access out to Old Mill Road would be eliminated, and the access would be only out to Bethlehem Pike. So we worked through that plan. I think we came back with a sketch plan both to the Planning Commission. I think we came to see you with a sketch plan. A lot of questions about the who, what, where, when, and how. We had the opportunity to work with the professional staff and incorporate all of the comments, which produced this plan. The Planning Commission has since recommended approval with some conditions that include eliminating the access here, and then effectively...
Where's here?
I'm saying here to Old Mill Road. And then effectively using what woulda, coulda, should have been the improvements that would have been required to Old Mill Road in terms of widening, curbing, sidewalk, that sort of thing, and otherwise putting those costs in to improve Old Mill Road and overlay it from Old Mill Road through and past off-site and then out to the stop sign at Bethlehem Pike. So the Planning Commission, if I understood their recommendation, was to support the grant of the waivers that are necessary, conditioned upon resolution of the fees in lieu of the required improvements, and to otherwise receive all outside agency approvals, and that would include the NPDES permit, a highway occupancy permit if applicable. There's already a PennDOT permit out here. Board of Health approval to expand or replace the existing holding tank. Health Department approval if needed for the planning module and for the proposed interconnection of the two wells that exist. So I think that was the conditions out of the Planning Commission. We then had an opportunity to meet with Steve and Greg. The project engineer from Anderson, Kevin Wolf, proposed what was the estimated cost of the improvements that are being waived here and otherwise put into an alternate
Ed,
improvement.
where does the overlay come from? I wasn't at those meetings.
The overlay, I think, there's a bridge down here when you get to the
3 Mile Run. 3 Mile Run Creek.
to the creek, the bridge there, yeah. I think it's on our side of the bridge, as it were. And the discussion was for Kevin and Steve to come up with a spec of what that improvement would look like.
To where, Ed? I'm sorry.
But it would start, I think, and
Starts at the
Steve, you
bridge.
can help me, but I think it starts right about where the bridge is, right?
Yeah, starts
So-
at the bridge and extends all the way to the intersection at Bethlehem Pike.
So I think I have my pointer about where the bridge is.
Correct.
It's right about there, and it would go along Old Mill Road behind the property, continue behind the additional properties that are not part of Fedegari's track, sort of turn this corner here and go out to the stop sign at Bethlehem Pike. So that spec is being developed, or has been developed between Kevin and Steve as to what the overlay would look like, and the road would be overlaid, and the
And that's a full width over
Did some, yeah, I can clarify. There's some base repairs and a full width over
And the costs of that were proposed, and I don't want to speak for the township, but I think were generally received well, were $58,280. I think that's the number, $58,280.
It's in the
So-
ballpark.
Pardon me?
That's the ballpark, yeah.
Yeah. So we have the various reviews. There's nothing now, having worked through them, that would be a surprise. I'm happy to go through the reviews if there's any questions. I think, other than what I said, I could say that the response to the reviews are a straight will comply.
is everything in Steve's letter of May 5th a will comply?
Yes, other than what the conditions were that I just highlighted in terms of if
Then you don't have to.
If approval of the health department is required, we would get it. If it's not, we don't need
I
it.
had one, actually, Mr. DeWalt, if you'd like to ask the question that you raised to me.
Since this has a number of employees, has any consideration been given to an alternate exit for emergency vehicles if need be?
No. I think, and that's a good question, but there was some, and I'll backtrack a little bit, there was some question about what the use is. And so we went to the zoning hearing board because was it office, was it a training center, was it a combination, did it need relief? The testimony, I think, supports that this is so much more ample parking than is going to be necessary, that you're always sort of in between what you would propose if you were a straight-up office and you needed one spot for every 200 square feet, in which case we needed something like 116 parking spaces, something like that. Or if it was a commercial school, trade center, training center, we only needed like 12 parking spaces. We were suggesting we were more like a training center, commercial school, and that we could get away with parking that would be more in tune with what we thought we needed. We ended up with a zoning hearing board decision that said there are, I think, 82 spaces. I think there's 61 in here if you counted this, and then the balance of 21 to be held in reserve. So we think that's more parking than we might ever need. And to your exact question about would it suggest or need an alternate access out to Bethlehem Pike, we think that would be completely not in tune with the impact of what's being proposed or the number of cars.
I was thinking more of an alternate access on the Mill Road. If there was an emergency, for some reason, the emergency equipment couldn't get in off Bethel Pike. They have an alternative methodology of getting in there.
And I think there were a number of things about that. Number one, it would represent a cut-through, and it would let people end up using the Fedegari property to get out to Mill Road and vice versa. They could cut through the Fedegari property to get out to Bethlehem Pike.
And I think something could be worked out with the emergency people and our engineering and so forth to accomplish something like that.
Well, that was one point. Secondly, I think Fedegari wanted, for security purposes, not to have people coming in here. The idea is, and the plan would suggest, that any of the trees that may not be needed or the things being waived would all be buffered back in here. It's already somewhat wooded, but that would be really sort of closed off to eliminate getting in and out of Old Mill Road, to create that buffer. And limiting the traffic on Old Mill Road, even with the overlay or the improvements, would be a favorable factor.
Is there any fencing along Old Mill Road in the back of the property?
Not to my knowledge.
So anybody could really have access to go through the woods?
On foot.
I'm thinking, we're talking just about security, fire, police, emergency vehicles. 'Cause they only have one entrance there.
That's correct, yeah, there's only one.
If it's
There is some,
locked,
Only one entrance being
The building's
proposed.
trouble, and the people are in trouble. That's my view, I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, I had a concern about it, but I'm looking at the depth of the property, and I don't know, the house is gonna remain, right? From my understanding, he was gonna.
The dwelling is going to be raised and rebuilt.
Yes.
New.
So, it's basically, it's gonna stay intact there.
Yes, and it's going to be used in conjunction with
Yeah.
operation,
Is it gonna be the same footprint?
more or less. It's not going to be a mirror image, but more or less,
So you'll have a driveway back to that?
yeah. From here.
It won't come off of Old Mill, it'll be close.
But I'm saying they only have to go put a section in and secure it from Old Mill to where the driveway is for the house to get in there. I mean, that's my view, I think.
The only other thing I would sort of hasten to add is that when we came as a sketch, I think we talked about that, we tried to follow the lead that we got, or the direction that we got to develop this plan. That was one of the questions that we talked about, is there a way to put in a second access, or did we want access to Old Mill Road? I thought the consensus at the time led us to this plan. And there were more benefits than detriments to closing off Old Mill Road.
I really tend to think myself that if the fire company had to get into that way, they could without even access. Because of where the house sits, the location to the roadway, how close it is. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal to put something in place, because if the fire company has to get there, they will. I know the property pretty well myself.
Just suggestion,
Yep.
we try to do that with all other properties.
I understand. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with Jay on this. I think to come in that back, I think it would be very, if they have to, they have to. But that you're very close to that back parking that you're reserving back there anyway, so I think they could probably figure a way to come in there if need be. But I mean, that's pretty far-fetched. I think the entrance out on 30 or Old Bethel Pike is pretty big, as I recall.
The fire marshal did review the plan as it's designed now without an access to Old Mill Road, and he had no
issue?
No comments on the plan.
Okay.
We could assume
Yeah, I think
he did not ask for that second access. Doesn't mean you can't.
Well, I'm pleased with the one. I'd like to have two if possible, but considering where the location of the house is, I think that they have the opportunity to go. Even if they would follow the same driveway, they probably would be able to get through there if they had to, if there was a real issue. That's my opinion. Planning Commission didn't have any concerns regarding the second access either, I don't recall.
They did
We
not.
didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. No problem. I did. Stepped on your toes.
No,
I apologize.
stepped on yours, I'm sorry.
No, we talked about it a little bit, and we kind of came to the same conclusion, that we'd prefer to see, not have access off Old Mill, to prevent
Yep.
non-professionals going
Cutting
through
through.
Yeah, I could see that to cover a little security.
there. Yeah.
Okay,
Safety. Okay.
so we're moving on to the next issue, right?
Well, I don't think there are any other issues, are there, Steve?
No, as long as the board is comfortable with the concept of waiving the curbs and sidewalks and using those monies to do the overlay paving of Mill Road.
I personally
That's
am,
the only
because
item.
that needs it badly, and that's quite a bit of paving.
That is,
Yeah.
I'm in favor of that.
Really need for sidewalks today.
No.
So with your blessing, you don't have to make a motion or anything, I'll prepare a resolution for your consideration at the next meeting.
Okay. Proceed.
So move.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I get a copy of the planning commission minutes or recommendations on that? Were they from, what meetings did you go to? Just this one?
5, 9,
May 9th.
7.
Okay, they're in this packet then, right?
No, it'd be the month before.
The month before, they were.
Right, if we can get those, yeah, if we can get those to me.
Yeah, they were last month.
No, but I mean, I need them to do that.
I'll send
them tomorrow.
She wasn't here.
Oh, that's right, that was Patrick.
Oh, it was the month before. I
It-
still have it, I still.
It was Patrick,
Patrick was here.
sorry.
No, it does, no, I'm sorry, because I'll just get them off their website.
Okay, I'll send you my letter in Word, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. The next item on my agenda was the plan review status. If you'll note, there were two plans that required action. The Moser plan and the Frankenfield plan. Frankenfield has since given us an extension, but Moser has not. And their time period is up July 14th, which falls before your next Board of Supervisors meeting. The Planning Commission made a recommendation for conditional denial, subject to receipt of an extension, but we have not received the extension. We have contacted them again, sent them extension forms, so they're well aware that what the time period was.
Others we follow recommendation of planning commission.
Yeah, unless Mary has any different input on it, but
Oh, I don't, but, so it's before the next meeting, and there has been no, so your motion would be to deny the plan. What's on your letter?
everything.
Is there, I mean, there's enough
There's a lot.
there's enough for a basis for denial?
Yeah, yeah. Frontage improvements, stormwater management, grading, erosion control, there's
All right.
everything.
But can they file an extension
Yeah.
before the next?
No, there's not enough time. You have to act within the 90-day period. The 90-day period expires. So you could give them a conditional, you can make a motion for a conditional denial too, but we have to write the denial, letter, within 15 days of tonight's meeting. So we gotta start, Steve's gotta get me his information, we gotta start on it right away or it's a deemed approval. So, he'd have to get his extension in within 2 weeks, but even so, we'll already be working on the resolution, so it's gonna cost him some money. I don't know how his escrow account is. How about that? So, but we have to do it.
Oh, yeah, you have to do it.
All right.
So you wanna make a
So
motion
moved.
to deny what plan is that?
So moved.
The Moser construction minor subdivision plan.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so Don made a motion?
I second.
You second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
He had an attorney contact me within the last 2 weeks. Would you think it would be helpful if I asked the attorney about the extension?
Sure.
Right. I remember who that attorney was. I know
Yeah, I don't recall who. Okay, authorization vouchers, there's one authorization, or escrow release voucher in your packet for contractor services property down on the Meeting House Road for work completed today.
You're satisfied with what's
Yes.
going on now?
Yes, they're slow, but they're doing a very nice job.
Okay.
They're doing most of it themselves.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made, second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have it.
And that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Okay, make a motion to approve the engineer's report.
I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the solicitor's report. Mary.
Hello, the only thing on the solicitor, well, I have two things actually for the solicitor's report. The first thing is, the Great Swamp resolution. Remember, they came in for a waiver of land development
Yes.
to put up the addition on the garage. And, we talked to them about, an easement. And so they entered into an agreement with the township to either install an easement or make a contribution in the amount of $14,000 within the next 2 years. So it's something that we have to keep on our calendars to make sure they actually pay it. But that is also recited in this. resolution.
Okay, what number is that?
2017-10.
All right. Everything's been satisfied there, that's spelled out correctly, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I wasn't here last month, and I just noticed that $14,000 is in here as a condition,
Yeah.
You're talking about the resolution or the agreement?
the resolution.
Okay.
So, I'll get copies up to you, if that not on. It's on this page you have to sign, so it's to change.
We're both confused.
Okay.
We have the approval resolution for the waiver of land development and a separate agreement for the waiver of land development.
Correct.
We're talking about both of those.
I have the agreement under my.
No, we were only talking about the approval
Okay, so
resolution.
this is not a resolution that Jay mentioned, the resolution, this is just about the agreement.
The opposite.
Yeah.
This is just about the resolution.
That's what I thought.
So you're making a motion to approve resolution 2017-10.
-10. Yes, I'm making that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
But Judy, what's confusing is that there's something in the resolution that shouldn't be there, and it's on their signature pages. So I'll get that up to you guys so that you can stop in and sign it.
Okay.
No, that's what.
Okay, it wasn't on the agenda, that's why, you just surprised me, it wasn't. on
Yeah,
the
it's not
agenda.
listed on our paper. The only thing on your thing is Fresco.
Yeah, we didn't get a draft of that or anything, it just came out of the blue, sorry.
And I was kind of wondering, because I thought that was kind of of an urgency to proceed forward.
Right.
So this is to approve,
Resolution?
no.
Oh, you did great. I'm sorry, I'm very confused. I was still thinking about the Fedegari project. You did Great Swamp 2 months ago.
That's what I
Yeah, we
thought.
did it
Yes.
we did it last month.
You have a resolution, yeah, no, you did 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah,
didn't you?
that's done.
I'm going back to the minutes.
This is the agreement?
This is only the agreement, don't talk about any agreement. We didn't have, you're right, you didn't have an agreement.
Right.
You now have an agreement. But Fresco, you saw last month when I
Yes.
wasn't here, so we have a resolution that Patrick prepared based on your discussion at last month's meeting, and that is for you, for your consideration.
So that's
And we're gonna call that 2017-10.
Okay.
And at last month's meeting, we did pass the Great Swamp resolution.
This is why I
Yes.
tried really hard not to
Yes,
miss
it's
meeting.
an
So all that was for information, that was just information purpose.
No, that was just wrong.
That was a test.
Well, how did I do it? No.
Judy, thank you for catching that.
What, those sheets?
It's in the minutes.
So, how about we get another motion to approve 2017-10,
So
especially the
moved.
Fresco.
Motion's been made by Jim, I'll second it. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll pass that down. And Greg, there was something that you wanted me to bring up tonight, and that is the solid waste.
The solid waste.
We've been collaborating with other municipalities and in our recycling efforts and filing joint applications in order to get our recycling grant. And the state wants us to enter into a formal intergovernmental cooperation agreement. And the intergovernmental cooperation law requires that in order to do an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with another municipality, you have to adopt an ordinance. So this came up pretty recently. So I'm going to pass down to you copies. The first 2.5 pages is an ordinance, and the second 2.5 pages is Exhibit A to the ordinance, which is actually the agreement. And all this does, there's a million warehouses on the first page just reciting where in the law you're permitted to do this and where you're authorized. And then the second page of the agreement says that you're approving the second page of the ordinance is that you're approving the agreement that's attached, which, and that's it. So then if you go to the agreement, this intergovernmental cooperation agreement authorizes the municipalities involved, and that's Richland, Springfield, West Rockhill, Milford, Percy Borough, Quakertown, and there's no Sellersville, just those, to prepare joint applications to contribute to the preparation of those grants as authorized by the local governing bodies, to provide funds which may be needed to pay for consultants such as you use Hub, right?
We use Hub, we all use Hub.
And that there's certain things in the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act that have to be included in the ordinance, like how you're gonna handle any real estate, but so we decide that there'll be no real estate. And the agreement will remain into effect until you guys all mutually terminate it. So I'm not asking for any action on this tonight, other than authorization to advertise, and then you can consider it at your next meeting. But apparently, Greg said this is an urgent matter from the state standpoint, so we do want to get authorization to advertise at the next meeting.
So moved, motion.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made second to authorize advertisement. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Just one thing, we have been doing this informally for years, for 10, 12 years. We've been doing this exact thing. This is just a requirement of the state. So we've been always banding together to get higher premiums.
Well, you'll be sure to tell the residents that question. Okay?
And I don't have anything else.
Okay, great. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the solicitor's report.
So moved.
Moved by Jim, second by Don. All those signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Next on the agenda is the township manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, it's okay.
He has his hand up, I didn't see him.
Say what?
He has his hand up.
Changed his mind.
I'll give you a chance, David. Seriously.
The Emergency Services Report for May 2017. Sellersville, 27 calls, 12 of which were in West Rockhill Township. Sellersville, 309, 3 calls, 3 of which were in West Rockhill Township. Telford, 23 calls, 5 of which in West Rockhill Township. Telford, Route 309, 1 call, and it was in West Rockhill Township. Tylersport, 18 calls, 1 of which were in West Rockhill Township. And Trumbullsville had 50 calls, 6 of which were in West Rockhill Township. Any questions on the Emergency Services Report?
Yeah, what came out of the training issue?
I know that it was contained. I knew that there was some diesel fuel that was leaked into the creek in Sellersville. If that was contained, it was 3 butter trucks, or cars, not
3
trucks.
rail cars with butter on them.
3 rail cars with butter. So, I don't know why.
Was it Keller's butter?
I do not know those specific details. It happened on the Sellersville-Percy border, kind of behind South Junior High.
Okay.
That's where it was.
Okay, thank you.
That car, that rail system goes up to the cold storage there on Public Station Road. That's where that ends up, eventually. So, sorry to hear it, but hopefully everything's worked out. Okay.
All right, the next item is the building and zoning report for May. We brought in $4,489.77, bringing the grand total to $45,814.02. We also have a list of permits that were issued.
Any questions?
I don't know that, no.
Okay.
The next item is the treasurer's report. I'll go over the treasurer's report ending May 31st, 2017. The general fund, $712,718.75. Highway aid, $267,200. $207.53. Open space, $1,710,295.10. The park fund, $14,719.56. The equipment fund, $17,383.03. Highway capital, $124.18. Street light, $34,846.25. The reserve funds, the general fund reserve, $302,891.30. Open space, Manderfield, $50,654.88. Sewage maintenance, $165,136.95. Stormwater, $7,052.52. The escrow funds, $177,421.19. Also, the open space Durstein Fund, $24,162.66. You also have a copy and list of all of the bills.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Nope. I'd move for approval.
I second.
As presented,
All right.
including payment of the bills.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Thank you.
All right, the next item is the Public Works Report. Maintenance performed on township roads. Armo Gold Mine, Barn, Catch Basin, Simmons, Meeting House, Old State, Augustine, Almont, Quarry, Township, Lonely, Green Top, Wayland, Hazel, 1,000 Acre, Farmers Lane, Clymer, Light of Sign on the county line and Barn, and Sellersville Firehouse doing the Big Creek side. Installed the new cross pipe at Green Top Road, patch and regraded Catch Basin Road from washout, patch Washington Avenue, hot patch Shoecraft, Old Mill, White Gold Forest, Washington Avenue, Old Bethlehem Pike, cleared the intersection of Sterners and Allentown, Rich Hill, and 309, weed whacked and sprayed Tower and Ridge Valley Road intersection. They also did all around all the traffic control boxes. Weed whacked guardrails at Keystone and Old State Road, weed whacked head wall at PRPD, put in the plastic netting. They mowed the field back there. Replaced the street sign, State Road, and Meeting House Road and Lawn Avenue. They picked up dumped trash on Lonely and mattresses on Gameland Road, and monthly inspections on cross pipes, culverts, and grades. One of the things, there has been a lot of trash dumped around the township lately. Every time that we get a report of trash, not only do we inform the public works, but we're also informing the police department, so that they can kind of follow.
I have been seeing quite a bit.
We get more, this has probably been the worst year since I've been here with debris just being dropped all over the place.
Large droppings?
No.
To the Franny Schwager days, a couch on Lonely Road.
Couches, mattresses, all the time.
We've had tests of 1,000 Acre.
Yeah, it's happening all the time.
Things people can't get rid of easily. They drive
Correct.
around and dump.
Yeah, it just seems to be worse this year.
We do have that littering ordinance, if anybody ever catches it, we do
Well,
have that.
yes, and that's, and we've talked, we, try to make the police better.
Maybe we need to put up more signs.
I will tell you, I have seen quite a bit of that littering on Catch Basin, the Stone Park,
Mhm.
from Forest out to
Yep.
Green Top. I don't know if that's a shortcut, back way home from the local gym, no? But I happen to see beer.
Yeah, there's a lot of beer.
A lot of beer containers and six-pack containers along that road. So, yeah, right. Road West Trail, right. Okay. Keep your eyes open.
There's a police patrol that once in a while.
Well, then that's what all the emails to them to let them know where it's happening.
And we are in the process of identifying pipes, or the lack of pipes on roadways, township roadways, that need to be added. Or
I would say we're more on the lookout for grates, where the driveways come down and it just dumps water onto the roadway. I recently went out to Gold Mine Road, and there's, on the south side, you don't need pipes because it runs down their driveway on the eastern side. Yeah, they come down and run right out into the road, and you can see the road damage. So, so the people on the eastern side got
Need
letters
treasure.
about asking them to put in crates.
Okay.
So those letters went out to half the people, the ones with the ones that go down.
Right, I know the one driveway there that has the concrete, he did it nice, and he has a stone wall there.
Yeah, he did not get one.
No, well, you don't need one. His is working, right? But I drove down there in that rainstorm that we had, and there's an issue there, a big issue. And that's stated to be oil and chip.
Correct. And the guys are out there right now replacing the pipes.
Okay.
9 pipes are being replaced.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be closed on and off for the next 2.5 weeks.
All right.
Also in the Public Works report, there is a quote for a plow from Triad Equipment for $14,846.
That's my new business. I had that under my new business. Go ahead, take it away.
We got a quote for, and this is to go into our John Deere. One of the things that we did last month, or a couple months ago, we sold equipment. The equipment we sold was the tractor for $16,788, the old 6-wheeler for $6,500, and a saw for $700. This money was all unbudgeted, you know. One of the things that I would suggest is to buy a plow for the tractor.
Money's hot in your pocket, huh?
That's right.
Well, I think that was part of our plan.
Yeah.
When we did so, because without the tractor now that we had with the plow on, we're short a piece of equipment if we have a major catastrophe, and a major storm. So I think I'll even give you my recommendation. Proposal to move forward on this matter, so that we can get that John Deere prepared for winter time.
Yeah, I agree, we talked about this when we discussed making a sale, so this money was already allocated.
Motion's been made, second. All those signify by saying aye.
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 All right, the next item is the oil and chip bids. We had 2, and if I misspeak, Steve, correct me. For Asphalt Solutions gave us a bid of $125,263, and Asphalt Industries gave us a bid for $145,930.25. We also had 2 add-ons. The add-ons were for longer yardages. I forget the roads that we talked about.
Old State Road and,
We got 2, but the
Sterners Road.
and Sterners.
The first one is, the first ad, the low bid of $10,200 is for Sterners Road between Allentown and Finland, I guess.
Right.
And the second ad for $7,658 is for Old State Road between State Road and Meeting House Road.
What is the quality of their performance?
For AMS? Oh, they do a good job. We've used them in the past. A lot of the townships have used them, and they generally always do a good job.
Someone's have to answer that question.
So those 2 would be in addition to the 125 if you so choose. And it's set up that you could choose either or neither of the add-ons.
And what we do is we go around and we do base repairs in certain spots, and then we come in and then we pave those spots, and then we cover it all.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need to move forward.
Motion for.
Yeah, we need, you making that new motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Was that for all of it?
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I do want to ask, Craig, while we're talking about this, is you sent an email or something about the park. I think it should be done. This is the middle of the parking lot.
Right. If you go out and look at the park,
Did you see that?
the park has a crack going down the middle of it. What the Public Works would like to do is mill it up 4 feet wide and repave it down that to just fix the seam.
And you're gonna seal those seams in.
You're gonna seal the seams, and if the board wants, we could even seal coat the whole parking lot. If you wanted, you know,
Okay.
you could do that too.
I think it'll look better if you do seal coat the whole.
We'd see what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll do the first part first and see what it looks like, and then we could always seal coat it.
Okay.
You put the wear and tear under the center of the vehicle as they go in and out, so.
And not only that, but we're always backed up with September Fest, so, you know, if we could do it after that, maybe. Not the milling part, we would do the milling part first.
Summer. You gotta do it in the summer.
But then the seal coating could be done.
Okay.
In the fall after September.
Very good. What's next?
I have one more item, it's the Great Swamp Fishing Game Forestry Agreement.
Okay.
You might have heard something about that.
This is the agreement that has to do with the resolution. So that's last month.
That's the agreement I told you about. When I was saying about something that had nothing to do with that
Why
either.
don't you refresh my memory? Fill me in.
The Great Swamp signed the agreement that makes them agree to pay the $14,000 if they do not reach an agreement with the township to connect with the two tower roads.
Okay.
And that's for you to sign afterwards.
You need a motion on that?
Sure, make a motion. to
I'll
sign
make a
it.
motion to sign it.
I'll second.
Okay.
Second.
All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
We got about 12 seconds.
Yeah, right.
What else you got?
That's all I have.
They're adding that.
All right, moving on. I'll actually entertain a motion to approve the.
Oh, wait, I do, I'm sorry, before we go, there's a letter in your packet to Representative Craig Stats.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to bring that up in new business?
Well, we'll bring it up now.
All right, we'll bring it up.
But it'll enlighten him a little bit. Go ahead.
It says, as a follow-up to the road tour the township took, you took with Supervisor Jay Kaiser recently, is a formal request to give us an update of the driveway pipe enforcement on Ridge Road in Caddo. And it's signed by the Board of Supervisors.
I had a ride-around session with Representative Stats about 3-4 weeks ago. And I explained the issues that people have been explaining to me and what I knew on the state roads in our township. And the condition and lack of trench grates and pipes. If you drive down Ridge Road here, you'll see numerous driveways without pipes, and the water is out on the road after a rainstorm instead of in the ditch where it should be. So we addressed those issues. He was writing as I was going. And then we went down Cat Hill Road, which is another state road, and there's a serious ice problem there to the woods up from Marty Bear's tree establishment there. So we wrote down those things. Now, I will share with you that he didn't know whether or not they were going to be able to be accomplished or anything was going to be able to be done before the Ridge Road paving project was underway. However, as you may have seen, yesterday they started replacing pipes on Ridge Road, part of the Ridge Road paving project, which is going to take place from County Line Road to Park Avenue. So I do believe that maybe some word got passed along to increase some pipe work, because that has been added, that wasn't originally added to the project.
Do we know anybody that knows anything about
It's in the process, I can get you a direct.
Pipe work's underway.
There's pipe work that's being done underway, so if you travel Ridge Road, you'll probably be held up, and maybe the road might even be closed for a period of time.
closed yesterday?
Yes, several different
When we
locations.
say a period of time, what does that mean?
Well, yesterday was closed for basically a few hours during the day.
No, but will there be times when it's closed for days?
You know, the paving operation, Mary, will be a stop-go pattern, so that'll be single lane condition as the paving operation, paving train moves through the township. The pipe crossings will need to close day at the most, here and there as we get to the center of the lane. We can't facilitate traffic when we get to the middle, so we've got to shut it down to the traffic. So I'm going to say days tops.
But it won't be like 3:13.
So is there any consideration on the roadway when you pave it, paving 2/3 and 1/3 instead of 50/50?
Don, the state likes that single joint, so, and the width that Ridge only allows for traffic to flow in single lane conditions. So if we were doing thirds, to be no way to facilitate for traffic, we'd have to do a closure.
Because they generally all park right in the center where the seam is.
This way you get one joint instead of two.
Yeah. One thing I will share with you, I pleaded with Senator McElhaney to eliminate that rumble strip that they put in the middle of the road, because that has deteriorated, destroyed the roads. As the pictures I showed last year before Ridge Valley Road was done, there were some spots where it was 6 to 8 inches deep, where those rumble strips were placed. I think they may make you aware that you're going over the center line, but they cost the taxpayer a ton of money in road deterioration. Because a lot of our roads, now I will say, I encourage and like to see sealed seams. They don't always do it, and I don't know what the contract states when a paving project is done, but sometimes they put a hot asphalt seal down the seam to,
The spec calls for the vertical joint to be sealed
does it?
From the surface down to the mount. So it's sealed, but it's reverse sealed. You don't see it at the surface.
Okay, it's
So
underneath.
AC is applied on the vertical edge.
All right.
So you put a seal on each edge and then a seal over top of that?
Not on the top.
Not on top.
Not on the top.
Why not on top? That gives you 2 seals.
That's the way the specs
Some money?
could be. But keep in mind, they've moved away from AET, a water-based product, to liquid asphalt as your vertical tag coat. So that's a far better product.
Yeah.
Does it change the longevity of much?
What I see, it bonds it better, gives you a little bit more flex in there for the material to move. It will give it water to expand. So yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Linden, we will have some progress made, and I've been made aware that the paving is probably going to start sometime in the middle of July.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have this bridge road in good shape till then. And I will report to you next month on what the response was from Representative Stacks on the other roadways.
Could you include this as a report?
We could put it under old business.
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Yeah, put it on our business. Absolutely. I will share with you that there was no money allocated for Cat Hill Road, which disappointed me a little bit because I know that it has some serious spots. And I showed him those spots, and he took notes. But, the budgets for the monies that are spent, they have, what, a 5-year plan already out? And I didn't see anything regarding Cat Hill Road on there.
Well, they have a 2-year plan, 2017, 2018, for Bucks County. And it includes a number of roads and areas and bridges, I guess, in West Rockhill. But I don't know where you can find any progress report on it, on that list.
Well, the only one that I know that's going to be actually done is Ridge Road. We got Ridge Valley Road done, and we got Allentown Road done. The other state highway would be Cat Hill Road, right?
And 152.
And
309.
309.
309 is going to be done in what?
18,
right?
18.
They're going to be doing 9 miles of 309 from Montgomeryville down up to Quakertown, starting in 2018. So that will make it a super highway then.
They've already made some slight changes on the road sides, edges.
Yeah. Some of the concerns that we share though is the grates and stuff on the on and off ramps, especially down there by Telford, or the 152 exit. Some of those grates were clogged, and I sent pictures and took pictures down to Senator McElhaney to show him. And I don't know, it's just, I was told that they only have two machines to clean ditches out in the entire county, and I just don't buy that. So,
How do the rest of the state get along? Bucks County's like an orphan.
yeah. They are doing some ditch work, I will share with you, down on Elephant Road and Kellis Church Road here in the last week. I've seen them with a grader and then a conveyor belt behind. but they're not getting out, they're not doing any handwork. Whatever falls back in the ditch after they go by with the graders is still there the next day. And you can see examples of that if you drive those roads.
In more rural counties, they don't do that way because they don't have the level of traffic that we have in this area and towards the main cities.
I tried to explain that it's cheaper to clean the ditches out than it is to repave roads. And they didn't, because if the water can't get away, it's gonna destroy the road. But it just, it's hard to get the point across. A lot of times. And you witnessed how long it's taken to get Ridge Road addressed. Even those pipes out there by the Waffle Farms. 10 years before we got that, something done on it.
Well, if I had my say on the roads, I'd remove all the trees.
Yeah.
I know a lot of government officials that do the same thing.
Okay, so I hope that helps you out.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on. Do you have anything else from your report? Okay, I'll entertain a motion now to approve the township manager's report.
A second.
All right, been made and seconded by me. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Whole business?
I have two things. One, both of them are very quick. We had our second Daysville Quarry Tour about 3 weeks ago. I want to thank Mr. Haynes for doing another fine job. It was for the planning, the planning commission and any other residents that didn't make it to the first one. I think it was very good. I think there were a lot of questions and a lot of answers, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know I did. I got more out of it the second time than I even got the first time, so that was very good. So thank you very much.
Yes, very informative.
I think altogether, we've had probably 100 people, or close to it, to take the tour. So I think that was good. It was good information for the community.
Appreciate everyone coming out to visit the quarry, and we're happy to have you at any time.
Thank you, thank you. Second thing is, I'm disappointed, and we're not signing off on the James House, farmhouse tonight, Mr. Collingwood.
Why me?
You're here. I was hoping we were gonna finalize that tonight, but I understand there's still some more items to be discussed.
Jim, the questions that were asked and responded to, is there any documentation of those, or are they just verbal exchanges?
I think it was verbal. I don't think anybody took any notes.
No, I don't think so. I think there were just a lot of questions
I'll
asked.
share with you the one, there was a question of what north and south was, where the quarry with the expansion actually was, in reference to Shady Lane, which it was explained twice on separate occasions. And then there was another question on whether a property value, whether the person's property value would drop, decrease, which I think was answered fairly well.
Yeah, I think so too.
Regarding the houses that were built down next to the Skunk Hollow Quarry in Hilltown. So I think that may have helped somewhat, but I felt it was very informative as well. I really didn't see any negativity other than that one concern of property value.
Yeah, I had a bad ankle that day and I couldn't walk, so.
Anything that was addressed or asked will come back up through the various stages at the planning commission or here again before the board if we're fortunate enough to come back and visit the board of supervisors. So they'll be all documented at that time and sorted through again, or part of the permitting process thereafter.
So that's all I have.
That's all you had? Well, I shared that one old business was the house across the street. You have any old business?
No.
The other old business I had was Ridge Road, and we covered that already. Okay, moving on to new business. Any new business?
I have
Good.
We will start putting the update on the roads under the old business, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment.
Excuse me, guys,
Yes,
just,
you may.
we'll also put that same information on the website.
That would be great. Can we? Okay. So people know. In case they want to plan their travels accordingly. Ridge Road will be closed periodically in certain areas from time to time for the next few weeks.
You said a mid-July start?
Mid-July
Any idea
for-
how long it will
for-
last?
We'll give it, once we got the date closer, we'll put it on the website.
Sign up for Twitter, it's all free.
Or just go to the website, because the
He
Twitter goes
tweets
right
it
on
out
the
every,
website.
every day I get tweets.
And it goes right to the front page.
Okay. All right, next time we'll go to public comment. If so, state your name and address. Yes.
Patrice Swearda,
Yes.
715 Ridge Valley Road. At present, according to the zoning map on the wall, we have a very fine conservation district. And under point number 4 tonight, the proposed housing development was chipping away a little bit of that conservation district away. And my question is that if these sort of events, which are to be expected from time to time, where builders come in and ask for variances in changing of zoning, do we get to reclaim that conservation district from another portion of the township? From another portion that's already been declared, well, high density, say for instance?
Good question. I don't know.
And I can't sit here tonight and just answer that for you. It's a matter of trying to balance how much land is available for high-density development, and without looking at the map carefully and seeing what we're adding and what's available, whether we make a recommendation at the staff level to reduce the high-density district as a result of, we have to, above all things, make sure that we are right with the law on the fair share analysis, and that we have enough ground available for high-density housing. So if you want us to take a look at that, Stephen, Greg, and I can, and we can make a recommendation, you can decide what you're gonna do, but I would recommend waiting until, this project's actually gonna move forward before you do that.
Well, yeah, why don't we do that? I have my concerns, of course, regarding traffic, but there's no sense in making any comments until you see traffic study. They have some work to do.
My concern is, well, horse traffic, but that's someone else's main concern. My concern mostly is the resource preservation.
Okay.
And if we're going to give up something, we should be getting something back in that regard. And like I said, it's to be expected now. Variations are going to occur in the map from time to time, but always keep in mind, well, our code is supposed to be our code, and our laws are supposed to be our laws. They may change shape from time to time, but they still should, I guess in principle.
Have some backbone, yes.
Yes, they should have the principle behind them of the original intent.
We'll take a close look at it, okay?
Okay.
To that point, we have a very aggressive conservation activity, been going on for
Oh, I understand
15
that,
years
yes.
or whatever, so that plays a big role in this, and we are pretty specific in terms of the committee sorting out properties that are key to manage the overall growth of the community. We do have to have some growth, or everybody here won't be able to afford it, this community, so it's a delicate balance,
I think also in the plan itself, they need to allow for some open space areas, don't they? And I'm not sure, I didn't look at the plan that close, but I'm not sure if that was in there, and that's something
I
that would need
didn't
to be
see that
addressed.
either. I didn't
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, that would
It
need
looked
to
to
be
me
addressed
like
with
if
the
it
planning
was a
commission.
request for high density.
Yeah.
But
That-
the original question was, if you give some high density
Right.
there, which may actually be appropriate, then give some back in another place. Actually, where, at the top of the pink, back around Mountain View Road, Forest Road, there's untouched ground back there, and farmland, that really doesn't have to be high-density housing. Maybe it's more appropriate in another place. And I don't mean to speak for the people that live in that area, by the way. That's really up to them to say.
You're just pointing out an observation.
Yes, Yes, exactly, exactly.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for your time. Yes, Mr. Swedlow.
John Swarta, Bridge Valley Road. Just as part of the question, any update on your due diligence for the Sellersville Reservoir property?
I will ask the manager, because I think with the leaves on the trees, it's hard to.
Yeah, we're still working on,
Okay,
working on it.
it's in the process. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment into executive session.
So moved.
Motion's been made second, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming, I appreciate your input. We wish you a safe travel.